Hello everyone. In this lecture, we are going to read about the concepts of blood relation, and this is another very important chapter in the section of logical reasoning. And once you know the certain concepts which are involved in this, you will be able to score very high marks in the logical reasoning section. All right. Let's see. We'll proceed by first having a look at the concepts involved, and then the types of questions which are being asked in the exams, and then we'll have a look at the examples. All right, let's first begin with concepts. Okay, there are not many concepts involved in this particular chapter. All you have to use is these following points, and let's see what do they signify. The first point says that using symbols. So, what is it when we are talking about symbols over here? So, you know that in blood relation concepts involving blood relations, you will be dealing with gender, right? But if you are dealing with, let's say, people's name, that is A, B, C, or whatever the names are, and if you have to, let's say, draw a diagram so that you are able to draw the relationships between them or any sort of family tree involved, you have to know which one of these people is male or female. So ideally what you can do is you can probably put a plus symbol for male and for a minus sign for female, or you can reverse that, right? But what I would suggest you is that you, if let's say A is a male, what you should be doing is write A and form a box over it. So this box should be signifying your gender male, and if let's say B is female, write it and encircle it. This circle should be signifying that B is female. Alright, so this makes your question look very easy, right? Now there should be one more symbol or multiple symbols rather. So if let's say A and B are married, so in order to form a link between these two, what will you write? What I would be suggesting you is write A, write B, and draw two lines over here. Why I am using two lines over here? Because if let's say they are brother and sister, A and B, draw a singular line. So this double line is going to signify your marriage alliance between these two, and the relationship signifying the single line is going to be your siblings sort of relationship, right? So if you are able to remember these small things, the question becomes very easy, because the basic thing which we should be doing in this chapter is drawing a diagram, forming a family tree, and then arriving at the conclusion, right? A family tree is what solves your question over here. All right, so these are some symbols that you should be doing. Again, what other sort of relationship can be used? So if let's say A is B's father, so A is a male because since he is a father, you'll write it over here, and B is, let's say, the son. B is also a male, so a box should be encircling it. And since A is the father, you cannot use this double line or this single line, right? In that case, what will you do? You will write B beneath A, since in these directions, since they should ideally be of the same age or around the same age or of the same generation, you are writing them in a horizontal line. But if there's a generation gap, that is, if A is of the father's generation and this is your contemporary present generation, and anyone who is born to you or would be beneath you, right? Let's say C is your daughter, this is B, and C is B's daughter. The position of C should be lying beneath B, right? This is the next generation. So this is where I am talking about generation as layer. So a generation above you should be drawn on the upper side of you, and the generation which has come next to you should be drawn on the bottom side. And in order to connect it, you will draw a single line, right? So this is how you are having a look at the generations as layers. This is the first generation, this is your second generation, and this is your third generation. All right, and the relationship can be connected by using a single line, or if you want to use, you can put an arrow as well, because arrow in the downward direction signifies that this is of the first generation, this is of the next generation. Similarly, an arrow over here signifies that B is of the generation before that of C, right? So this is how you are dealing with the multiple generations, and these particular lines, that is the people of same generation should fall in the same layer or same line, should be in the horizontal directions, right? If B has a brother, let's call him, let's say D, you will write him in the same horizontal line so that you know that they are of the same generation. So this is the concept of generation as layer. So now let's consider multiple relationships between people. So you know that people of the same generation would be either married. In the same generation, people would be either married or they would be siblings or they would be cousins, right? How will you write that? So in order to understand that, consider yourself over here to be a guy. You're this A and this is your sister B, right? This is the present generation, right? So now if your parents are over here, because since they are the first generation, this is your father and this is your mother, right? Since they are married, you will use a double line, right? And since you are in this direction, you will draw over here, right? The parents comes in this layer and present generation is over here. So if your father has a brother and a sister, this relationship which you share with your father's brother is going to be uncle, right? He is going to be your uncle, and similarly your father's sister is going to be your aunt. Similar is the concept on the maternal side. So if this side is your paternal side, this side is going to be your maternal side, and they are all going to be on the same layer, right? So this is actually one particular layer. They are all in the same line because your father's brother and sister are in the same generation, and on top of that are going to be your grandparents on both the sides. Similarly on the maternal side as well, right? They are the grandfathers. They are coming from a generation even before that. So if this 0 signifies your present generation, this plus 1 is going to be a generation above that, and plus 2 signifies a generation above that. So these becomes your grandfather and grandmother, right? So concept of uncle and aunt is clear. Grandfather, grandmother is also clear. This same thing also gets replicated in the maternal side, right? We don't have to draw it twice. All right. Now the children of your uncle and aunt are going to be in the same generation as that of you. So children of uncle and aunt are in the same generation, right? This is your same generation, and these are going to be becoming your cousins. So this is the name of another relationship. All right. Again, if your sons and daughters are going to be coming in the next generation, if this is your 0, this is going to be your minus 1 because the generation is changing in the bottom side, right? So if these are your children and if your sibling also has some children, these children are going to be your nephew and niece, right? Nephew if the children of your sibling is a boy, and niece if it's a female, right? So the changes which we are seeing over here is that cousin is going to be in the same generation as that of you, and nephew and niece are going to be in the generation as that of your children, that is the generation which has come later, right? So this is how you have to remember that in which generation or layer your relationship is going to fall. Cousins and siblings are going to be in the same generation. Uncles and fathers and mother are going to be in the same generation, that is one generation above you, and nephew and niece are going to be in the generation as that of your sons and daughters, right? that is a generation below you. So once you draw a diagram involving all the relationships and all the people involved, you get a family tree. Alright, so these are the only concepts which are going to be used. The most important one is the usage of symbols. We have already dealt that a square indicates a male, a circle indicates a female, double lining is going to indicate the marriage alliance, and a single line between two are going to undertake the relationship of sibling. Alright, now let's have a look at the types of questions which are being asked. So okay, we have identified 6 types over here. So type 1 are talking about the simple question, that is this is going to involve 2-3 relationships, that is in the same generation or in the generation above that. So this is going to be the sort of family tree which you are going to probably evolve, and then you will reach at a basic solution, and this is not going to be very tough. So these are going to be very simple in nature and would involve minimum of the concepts, right? Okay, so in type 2, this says that it is assumption based. So in these type of question, we'll have to assume, let's say, gender as well as the relationship based out of the incomplete information given in the question, and then we'll probably match it with the question and then see if our assumption is right or wrong. All right, so this is the type 2 sort of question. In type 3, we are going to deal with the relationships and the professions of the people. So this type would say that there's one particular guy in your family, and if let's say he is your uncle and he has a certain profession, let's say doctor. Similarly, you will get that your cousin has another profession, and if let's say he's an advocate, or there is going to be a mixed sort of question in which multiple relationships would be given to you, and then you will have to probably match it with the professions involved in the question. In type 4 sort of question, there's going to be pointing out. So basically, there's going to be an introduction sort of scenario in a particular gathering, or there is going to be, let's say, a painting at which someone would be pointing and then explaining the relationship with the painting. So this sort of question forms your type 4. Again, in type 5, there's relation between families. So there's going to be one particular family on this side, and then there's going to be another family on this side, and there could possibly be one particular marriage alliance which would connect these two families, right? So this also forms an interesting scenario, and we'll have a look at once we deal with the questions. In type 6, there's symbol based sort of question. So you will be given certain symbols, let's say cross and plus and minus and divisibility sign, and these could be assigned certain sort of relationship, that P cross Q implies that P is father of Q, right? So based on this sort of questions, you will be uh, solving the solution, various solutions, and these are the major types which are being asked in the questions, right? Let's have a look at some questions now. Okay, so question 1 says that H has two sons A and Y, and A is married to M. So now you know that A and Y are brothers, right? And their father or mother is H. We don't know the gender of H, right? So you will write that this is H and this is the relationship, and these two are brothers, right? Because they are sons of same parent. Now the next step says that A is married to M. So this is our first step, and in order to further it, you know that A is married to M. So marriage, we would write it as two double lines. You will write M over here, and since A is male, since it says sons, A and Y both are going to male, and A is married to someone, so that has to be a female. So M becomes the female, right? So in first step you have drawn this part, and in the second step you have added M to it, right? So you have completed part until here. It says that M is the mother of P. Now M is mother of, another generation comes in the picture over here, and you will write P over here. You don't know the gender of P now. It says N is daughter-in-law of H, right? So there's going to be a daughter-in-law involved in the question, and you know that since A is already married to M, M becomes daughter-in-law of H, right? Because this is his son, and the wife of A is going to be daughter-in-law of this H, the generation over here, right? Now it is said that N is also another daughter-in-law of H because M is already the first one. So she should be ideally be married to Y. So you will write N over here, and since she is a female, you will draw a circle over here. So after the third step, you have reached to this particular diagram. And now the next step says that S is mother-in-law of H, right? So H should be married to someone, you don't know who, and they are going to have one parent, right? And since S is the mother-in-law, so S is a female, so you will encircle it, and she is related to H in this particular way that she happens to be mother-in-law of it. Now the question which is being asked is, who is the uncle of P? So for uncle, you know that you will be jumping to a generation before you. So if you are over here, uncle would be generation before you. So you'll see that your father's brother is going to be your uncle. Since we don't know about your maternal side, no information has been given. So uncle has to be dealt in the paternal side, right? So P's father is A and his brother is Y, this guy. So you will see that Y is going to be the uncle of P. So your answer becomes Y over here. Now it is saying that who is the wife of Y? In this statement we found out that N is daughter-in-law of H, right? So this becomes the second daughter-in-law because first daughter-in-law was already M and she was married to the first son, that is A. So to the second son, that is Y, someone has to get married. So this turns out to be N. So the answer to the second part is going to be N. Alright, so this is how you have solved this particular question. Let's have a look at another one. Okay, so question 2 says that D is the father of A. So in the first step, you would write that D, who is a father, so it's a male, right? D is a male and he is father of A. So you will write him in the second generation, but since you don't know whether A is a him or a her, so you will not encircle it or you won't even draw a rectangle around it, right? So this is the step 1 which you have found out. Step 2 says that D is married to P. So D we know is a male, and since he is married to P, so P is a female, right? So this is your step 2 in which you have identified the second relationship. Now it says that P is mother of J. So again you can draw one line over here and you can write that J, and since you don't know the gender of J, you can't encircle or put a square around it, so you leave it as it is. So you don't know the genders of A, but you know that they are going to be siblings, right? Because they share same parents. D is married to P and D happens to have a child called A, and P is married to D and she has a child called J. So these two are siblings, right? So your third step is also done now. So after 3 steps, this is the diagram which you have obtained. Now it says that P has only one daughter. So one of these two is a daughter, right? So you don't know which is which. Now it is saying that J is married to U. In the next step, you will write that J is married to U. But since you don't know the genders, you still can't encircle or put a square around it. But in the next step, it is saying that U is the son of L. So L is going to be one of the parents of U, and since U is a son, so he has to be a boy. All right, so this is what you have arrived over here, this conclusion after this particular line. So now you know that since U is a male, J has to be a female, and since P and D are going to have only one daughter, so J is a daughter. So this guy A has to be a male. So now you know the genders of A, J, and U as well. Now let's have a look at what is the demand of the question. Question is saying, how is J related to L? So J is a female and is married to U, who happens to be son of L. So son's wife is going to be daughter-in-law of L, right? Daughter-in-law. So this is how you have arrived that J happens to be related to L in this particular relationship. Now the question is, how is A related to U? So since we know that D and P have only one daughter, J, so A is a boy, so it's a male. So it is asking that how is A is related to U. So since A is J's brother and J is married to U, so A has to be brother-in-law of U. Okay, so in question number 3, it says that there are 6 persons A, B, C, D, E and F. Okay, so we'll follow a step-by-step process in this question. It says that C is sister of F. So in the very first step, we'll write that C is a sister of F. So C is a female and she has a sibling called F. We don't know whether F is male or female. In the second statement, it says that B is brother of E's husband. So in the second step, what you're writing is brother of E's husband. E's husband implies that E is a female, right? Because she has a husband, right? And someone's wife is going to be E, right? So this is the information in the second statement. So B is brother, so B is male and he is brother to E's husband. So E's husband is going to be some male, we don't know who is that, and this male is married to E. So this is the information we have obtained from the second step. Alright, now let's move on to the next step as well. It says that in third step that D is father of A and grandfather of F. So D, since he is a father, he is going to be a male and he is father of A. We don't know the gender of A. And grandfather of F, and we also don't know the gender of F, but we know that they belong to different generations, so we have written them in the vertical format, each of them representing a generation or a layer, right? So this is the information from these 3 steps of us. Now the question is saying that there are 2 fathers, 3 brothers and a mother in the group. All right, so based on this information, that is, so there are 2 fathers and 3 brothers and 1 mother, right? So this is the information that we have, and based on this information we are supposed to find the answers to these questions. So since the question number 1 says that who is the mother, we cannot clearly say, so we'll have to make an assumption over here that how can these 3 situation or steps are going to fit in the scenario, so that we can arrive at the conclusion that who is mother for sure and who is E's husband and how many male members are there, and also how is F related to E, right? So how will we find that information? We will use the information given in this particular part, that is, there are 2 fathers, 3 brothers and 1 mother, right? So the fathers are always obviously going to be in the rectangular format and mother is going to be in the circular one. All right, so let's see how will we use that. So since you know that there are obviously 3 generations involved in this particular question, and you know that F is a sibling to that of C, and F is already in the third generation over here. So based on this, we know that in the third layer F is going to be there, and F is brother or sister of C, and generation above it is that of A. But we know that in the third generation we have two members, and in the second generation there are going to be three members, because already in the first generation we have D. So D is somewhere over top, and already we have one member here, one here, two, and these two. So four members are already there, and we know that in this particular middle generation, that is after this generation, there's this middle generation, there are three members. B, we don't know who this particular one is, and then there's E. So if you put A over here, does it fit the solution? Let's see. You already know D is father of A and A is father of F, and if you put A over here, you will see that A could be married to E, and A can have a brother as B, right? So this is what we are actually observing. And does it fit the particular condition that there are two fathers, three brothers, and a mother in the group, right? So it says that since it should complete the condition number one, that there's one father, there's another father, that is A. So we already have two fathers over here. We don't know anything about B. E is a female, and no information has been given about F and C as well, right? So we now know that if A fits over here, the condition of two fathers is being met. So now if you have a look at the second information, that is there are three brothers, you will see that B and A are brothers, right? So this is B is going to be the first brother, A is going to be second brother. But the condition of having third brother can be met only in the third generation, where we have a relationship as that of a sibling. But since C is already a female, in order to have one brother in the relationship of these two siblings, F has to be a boy. So our second assumption is that of F being a male. So if F becomes a male, we have one brother, two brother, and F becomes your third brother. So this second condition is being met after making an assumption as that of F being a male member, right? If this condition is also being met, so you know that the first part and second part is holding true, and now it is given to us that there is one mother in the group. So if A is the father of C and F, and A is married to E, so E becomes the mother in the group, right? Because E becomes mother of F and C automatically, right? So this third condition is already being met. So now it looks like our assumption is being actually holding true. So based on this, we can solve this question, that who is the mother? We have already found that it is E. Who is E's husband? Based on our assumption, A's position is holding true and meeting all the conditions. Now it says how many male members are there in the group. So if you count the number of rectangles D, B, A and F, you know that four of them are male. So your answer to third part becomes 4.